Okay, it says here, the Indian Trade and Intercourse Act, passed by Congress in 1802, said there could be no land cessions except by treaty with a tribe, and said federal law would operate in Indian territory. Jackson ignored this and supported state action. At this point, remember, there's Georgia and Alabama, Mississippi. These states were doing whatever the hell they wanted, and they were pushing out the native population in the way that they wanted to, even though there were federal treaties. And Jackson, the president, would not enforce these treaties. He was supporting the states to do whatever they wanted because, as we know, Jackson he was big on pushing the indigenous communities west because he was making a ton of money. He was president and he was making a ton of money through all of this. He was using laws, and he was using the military, and he was using all these ways to get his pockets fat. The proper tactic had now been found. The Indians would not be forced to go west. But if they chose to stay, they would have to abide by state laws which destroyed their tribal and personal rights and made them subject to endless harassment and invasion by white settlers coveting their land. These white settlers are like the settlers encroaching into Palestine. All of those illegal settlements, the parallels, yo. It's the same it's the same goddamn thing. If they left, however, the federal government would give them financial support and promise them lands beyond the Mississippi, which, as we will see, was just a trick. They didn't give a fuck about helping them when they were forced to move west. That phrase, as long as grass grows or water runs, which is the title of this chapter, was to be recalled with bitterness by generations of Indians. An Indian GI, veteran of Vietnam, testifying publicly in 1970, not only about the horror of the war, but about his own maltreatment as an Indian, repeated that phrase and began to weep. Treaties made under pressure and by deception broke up Creek, Choctaw, and Chickasaw tribal lands into individual holdings, making each person a prey to contractors, speculators, and politicians. The Chickasaw sold their land individually at good prices and went west without much suffering. The Creeks and Choctaws remained on their individual plots, but great numbers of them were defrauded by land companies. The Creeks, defrauded of their land, short of money and food, refused to go west. Starving Creeks began raiding white farms, while Georgia militia and settlers attacked Indian settlements. Thus began the Second Creek War. One Alabama newspaper, sympathetic to the Indians, wrote, "The war with the Creeks is all humbug. It is a base and diabolical scheme devised by interested men to keep an ignorant race of people from maintaining their just rights and to deprive them of the small remaining pittance placed under their control."